Atmospheric disturbance results in a heavy downpour in many areas.
Chairman of Avantgarde summoned to the CID over a complaint made by 3 ministers.
Ban on 8 organizations was lifted following a study carried out by a committee, a statement from the State Minister of Defence.
Saudi Arabia to reopen Sri Lankan-made adultery case.
Azad Sali responds to a statement made by the former Defence Secretary over the release of political prisoners. So there, very good evening and welcome to your primetime news bulletin with me, Shane Silva. A very good evening to you, Nicola.
Good evening, Shane. We'll start off with a look at our top story for tonight. And on our top story, the heavens opened up this evening over Sri Lanka, causing floods and bringing normal life to a standstill for several hours.
The Department of Meteorology states that under the influence of the disturbance in the vicinity of Sri Lanka, heavy rainfalls of about 150 millimeters can be experienced.
Several main roads and by-roads were inundated due to the heavy rainfall that was experienced in Colombo. Police stated that Horton Place, Buller's Road, Duplication Road, the Library Roundabout and the Cemetery Roundabout were inundated. Police also stated that vehicular movement along Armour Street and Jawata Junction was disrupted due to the heavy downpour. There are a number of reasons as to why we see towns and cities flooding due to rain. One reason is that when the recent development activities and road reconstruction activities were carried out, no proper plan was made for the excess rainwater to make its way out of the roads without being stagnant. No thought had been given to this in the planning process. The other reason is that with this development process of cities, water retention areas or catchment areas of rainfall have also been filled up in order to construct a number of high-rise buildings. Chennai suffered its worst flood situation in a century over the past few days. The Chennai International Airport was closed for several days as a result of the heavy rains that were experienced. The heavy downpour that lasted only a few hours flooded many areas in the city of Colombo.
Landslide warnings have been issued to 6 districts as a result of the inclement weather. The Disaster Management Centre says that the landslide warning have been issued to the districts of Gaul, Mathura, Kegaul, Kalutara, Ratnapura and the Mathale, and warned the public living in those areas to be vigilant.
Chairman of Avantgarde Nisanka Senadipati arrived at the Criminal Investigations Department this morning.
Police media spokesperson ASP Ron Gunasekara said that Nisanka Senadipati was summoned to the CID to record a statement over a complaint filed by Ministers Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, Partli Champika Ranavaka and Arjuna Ranatunga. A police inspector of the CID had recorded a statement from Nisanka Senadipati over a period of 3 hours. The police said that the AG's advice will be sought to decide on the future course of action subsequent to preliminary investigations.
No crime was committed to become a state's witness. 4 billion in foreign exchange was brought to the country. 6,794 war heroes were given employment. Their jobs have been taken away while they are attacking Senadipati. Those persons are now helpless.
Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca lodged a complaint with the Bribery Commission today with regard to the deals of Avantgarde. The Field Marshal arrived at the Commission to request for an investigation, citing the defamation was caused to him with the release of an audio clip that was played at a media briefing recently.
There are continuous attempts being made to show that the chairman of Avantgarde had bribed me. If I had taken the bribe, I will not be making any criticisms against Avantgarde or any of its dealings. What is attempted here is to show that I too had taken bribes from Avantgarde and caused defamation. Therefore, we decided to file a complaint against the chairman of Avantgarde and persons who benefited through disrespecting me. We asked that action be taken against them. We are engaged in clean politics. We have not dealt with black money, nor do we have blood on our hands.
Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, who was present at the Bribery Commission for over 5 hours, had thereafter handed in the relevant audio clip for investigations.
A debate arose in Parliament today over the ban on a number of organizations being lifted.
තහනම් කිරීම සිදු කරනු ලැබුවේ ආණ්ඩුව විසින් ගන්න ලැබූ දේශපාලන තීරණයක් නොවන බව ඔබතුමා පිළිගන්නවාද?
තමුන්නාන්සේලා රට පාලනය කරන කාලේ සෑම ද්‍රවිඩ පුද්ගලයෙක්ම ත්‍රස්තවාදී කැටයට හංගවඩු ගෙවුවා.
බුද්ධි තොරතුරු මත පදනම් වූ තීරණයක් කියලා කියන එක ඔබතුමා පිළිගන්නවාද?
බුද්ධියන් සත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කළා, ඉන්ටර්පෝල් එකත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කළා. එයයි ලබා දෙන තොරතුරු අනුව තමයි අපි තීරණය ගන්නෙ.
දැන් මේ බුද්ධි තොරතුරු මත පදනම් වෙලා නොවැම්බර් මාසේ මේ තීන්දුව ගන්නවා කියලා කියන එක අපි හිතමු සාධාරණ කියලා මොහොතකට. හැබැයි මේ පිළිබඳව ගරු විදේශ කටයුතු ඇමතුමා රජය වෙනුවෙන් ලෝකයට අනාවරණය කරන්නේ මාර්තු මාසේ 18 වෙනිදා.
අපි හිතුවක්කාර තීරණයක් කරන්නේ
මම කියන ඔත්තු සේව අඩපණ කරන්න එපා.
මං හිතන්නේ මේකට කමිටුවක් පිහිටවලා තියෙන්නේ ආරක්ෂක ලේකම්තුමාත්.
A committee was appointed for this. The Secretary of Defence was the chair of the committee. The Foreign Minister is also in the committee. The committee also comprises of representatives from the Terrorist Investigations Department, the Criminal Investigations Department, Military Intelligence, State Intelligence Service, the Attorney General's Department, the Foreign Ministry, the Financial Crimes Investigations Division and the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The delisting was carried out following a comprehensive study conducted out on the groups and individuals by this high-level committee.
Leader of the National Unity Front, Azad Sali, convened a media briefing today.
Yesterday, the former Secretary of Defence had said that releasing LTTE suspects undermines national security and that it needs to be stopped immediately. Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the government is doing this because the people in the north voted for Maithripala during the elections. Then I will have to tell him this. In 2005, Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the Rajapaksa family sent a lot of money to the LTTE, asking them not to vote for Ranil. Bomb makers were brought to Colombo and those who gave instructions for this purpose were given ministerial portfolios during the government of Rajapaksa. So are these actions justifiable? How can he make such statements now? If persons suspected with links to the LTTE were arrested back then and if cases were filed, by now those cases would have been closed and they would have been punished or released. That is why we told them to rehabilitate the LTTE suspects and release them. Millions of funds spent by the Rajapaksas have been reduced. A peaceful environment has been created. All communities are living together. When they see such things, they become jealous.
President Maithripala Sirisena, speaking in Parliament yesterday, commented on the resettlement of persons.
With regard to the resettlement process, several months ago I issued clear instructions that if forest lands are being cleared, immediate decisions need to be made and deforestation must be prevented. I will call for a meeting this week and I invite the MPs to attend the meeting. I will also provide facilities to travel to the north with the respective officials. You will visit those areas and make observations along with the representative that I appoint and submit a report within the next 2 weeks with regard to the resettlement. I must mention that we will review the process and prepare a program. If there is illegal felling of trees taking place, if illegal sand mining and gem mining is taking place, the law will be strictly enforced against such persons, casting aside their positions and party affiliations.
Yesterday, the expenditure heads of the Ministry of Mahaveli Development and Environment and the Ministry of Irrigation and Water Resources Management were debated in Parliament.
It is said that there were issues when resettling Muslims in Mannar. They show their lands in the respective Grama Seva divisions. When it is looked into as to whom the lands actually belong to, this is what was understood. Back then, under Minister Anurupi Darshanayapa, 6,042 hectares of land for the displaced persons were taken over by the Department of Wildlife Conservation on the night of 12th October 2012. In addition to that, around 2,000 hectares in Mannar in Vaunia were vested with the Department of Wildlife Conservation through a gazette. When the lands of the people are being reclaimed, they need to be informed and their objections need to be taken into consideration. How was this done when these people were housed in the displaced camps? A forest named as Karadikoli Marachikatu has been declared. Many hectares of land have been taken over by the government and security forces. Bimal Ratnayaka has also commented on this based on what environmentalists have said. They are not environmentalists, they are racists and nationalists. When I stepped away from the government of Mahinda Rajapaksa, many things happened against me. I did not give any plot of land to the Muslims in the north in an illegal manner.
Thank you very much.
Forest reserves were declared based on the markings on the maps of the Department of Forest Conservation. The statement made is wrong.
When justice is being meted out to those who have been treated in an unjust manner, the truth is that environmental destruction is taking place beyond the limits of justification. You can accuse the environmentalists that I selected, but I make this statement with responsibility.
The issuing of vouchers for school uniforms was taken up for debate in Parliament today as well.
Yesterday, it was reported in the media that a student cannot even buy an underwear for 400 rupees. As a government, we seek for a positive thing to transpire through this decision. However, at present, people are even mentioning your mother when blaming you. I'm asking a question. I'm saying that the policy is good. You must listen. There are shortcomings in the policy. I'm speaking of that. There cannot be 2 or 3 ministers of education here. Parents need to come to obtain this voucher. Yesterday we conducted a survey and 95% of this process was in operation. We have doubts as to whether acts of sabotage are taking place with regard to this. The minimum value of a voucher is 450 rupees. This is given in the range from 450 rupees to 1700 rupees. The voucher is valid for 2 months. We extended it by a month to the 28th of February. Won't the parents go to the city even once until the 28th of February to purchase the school uniform material?
The expenditure heads of the Ministry of Provincial Councils and Local Government was taken up for debate in Parliament today. The people of Kolonnawa are not responsible for the garbage issue in Colombo. The Colombo Municipal Council does not have a plan and the Mayor of Colombo does not have a plan. The previous government is no more and they have to prepare a program to move the garbage. If they don't, the Colombo Municipal Council will have no way of putting a stop to the consequences that would arise.
The expenditure heads for the provincial councils has been removed. When a provincial councillor enters Parliament, he undermines the powers vested with the provincial council. There need not be a ministry called the Ministry of Provincial Councils and Local Government. If powers are to be given to the provincial councils, they must be given those powers.
It is said that the government in power had allocated a less amount of funds for the provincial councils. Today we have a consensual government. The finance minister has not made allocations for the provincial councils. It is clear that the provincial council system is a white elephant.
It is a myth to call the provincial council a white elephant. 3.89% had been spent for provincial administration. This is a myth.
There weren't separate expenditure heads for 1988. There was one in 1989. It was recorded on some of the years. Certain persons presented facts. The President has promised to provide a practical solution for this matter. The President nor the Prime Minister have the need to control the funds of the provincial councils. This issue has arisen as 2 separate procedures were followed in the previous budgets.
The Ratnapura High Court issued an order to the police today to reopen a case pertaining to the burning down of a shop in Ratnapura in the year 1997. The case was taken up for 8 years and a verdict was also passed by the Ratnapura High Court. High Court Judge Vasantha Jinadasa had issued the order subsequent to the disappearance of the original court record after the then Minister of Justice had requested for the said court record. The High Court judge had also instructed the Attorney General's Department to take necessary steps in order to re-examine the case. An additional secretary of the Ministry of Justice was present in court today to respond to an order that was issued by court on the 24th of last month to the Ministry of Justice to make submissions on why legal action should not be taken if anyone was found to be involved in the disappearance of the court records, if any. Therefore, the High Court judge ordered the IGP to hand over the case to the Criminal Investigations Department and to arrest those responsible regardless of their rank or office. The High Court judge also ordered the Bribery Commission to launch an investigation to find out whether there was active bribery or corruption surrounding the incident. The papers in question had been dispatched to the Ministry of Justice on the 3rd of December 2008 via registered post by the Ratnapura High Court, following a request made by the Secretary to the Ministry of Justice 16 days before. 131 days following the verdict, 9 suspects who were charged with being involved in the incident were released on bail pending appeal. The High Court issued notice on these accused on the 24th of last month on the charge that they had breached the conditions of bail. As 2 of the suspects were reported to have passed away, 7 others appeared before court today. Former Deputy Chairman of the Ratnapura Pradesha Sabha and a United People's Freedom Alliance MP were among the suspects.
The High Court judge issued an order that the suspects be remanded as they could obstruct the proceedings and since they have breached their bail conditions. The case will reconvene on the 17th of this month.
Citing precedents from a case heard in the Supreme Court, the High Court judge said that this will be the first instance in the country's history that a court case will be reopened for examination after the verdict was issued.
Deputy Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva, speaking in Parliament today, made an announcement regarding the woman who has been sentenced to be stoned to death in Saudi Arabia.
On Sunday, the senior staff of the Sri Lankan embassy met with this woman in prison in Saudi Arabia and held a discussion. The regional court was made aware of the stance of the appeal court in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Based on the advice of the lawyers and our intervention on the matter, a decision has been reached to reopen the case. We consider this as a victory.
Empower the Woman, a campaign aimed to promote equality and security for women, entered its 6th day today.
The campaign, which is travelling from village to village, bringing women together, commenced its journey today from the heart of Nawalapitia. Women from different backgrounds came together at the Nawalapitia main bus stand and raised their voice to empower women in the country. Handbills were distributed to the masses in the area and views and suggestions for a proposal aimed at women were sought during the campaign. We are thankful for Sirius Media Network for coming to our village and raising awareness on women's issues. This recalls the importance of women, so this event is really important. It's really dangerous to step out on the streets, so the service that you're rendering is appreciated. If women are treated equally tomorrow, the future will be bright. The team, which set off from the north, arrived in Batiklo today. The women were given the chance to share their ideas and grievances during this campaign. The Empower the Woman campaign is a joint initiative of Newsfirst, Sirius and Shakti, together with the Sri Lanka Police, the Ministry of Provincial Councils and Local Government and the District and Divisional Secretariats.
The Pathfinder Foundation Centre for Indo-Lanka Initiatives was declared open today.
The opening ceremony of the centre, which is based at the head office of the Pathfinder Foundation, was held under the auspices of its founder, Melinda Moragada, and Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Y.K. Sinha. The centre, known as CILI, expects to have Indian experts based at the centre on an ongoing basis to work with Sri Lankan experts, focusing on political, economic, strategic, cultural, religious and people-to-people relations between the two countries and make recommendations to both governments.
I think it was long felt that a centre that promotes India-Sri Lanka relations outside the government would be important. I personally feel delighted to be present here because the Pathfinder Foundation has been espousing closer India-Sri Lanka relations in its own way, in the economic field in particular. And I think we need institutes, foundations and centres like this to promote our bilateral relationship, to bring our people closer to closer and upgrade our economic and commercial relationship, to take it to the next level.
Earlier today, the Colombo Dialogue to promote Indo-Lanka relations organised by the Pathfinder Foundation was held in Colombo. The dialogue was attended by several business and corporate leaders from both Sri Lanka and India, where matters on infrastructure development, bilateral relations and strategic and security issues between the two countries were discussed.
As far as the Indian Ocean region is concerned, there is a lot of discussion on the security aspects. That India's primary interest in the Indian Ocean is to have a secure and stable strategic environment to ensure the country's continued economic development. That is the end result, what we are looking for. and which is needed to improve the living of masses on your side and masses on our side. Rise of China is welcome. They are welcome to rise, but what we want them to curb is their policy of arbitrary decisions. We want to be friends with them. We have a huge business with them, over 100 billions, and we want that to go on.
The Capital Maharaja Organization Limited, together with Chevron Lubricants, launched an initiative titled Love Life Campaign to eradicate HIV/AIDS in the country.
A media briefing was held at the Capital Maharaja Organization Limited auditorium this evening.
Love Life campaign is scheduled to be held on the 19th and 20th of December with Love Life Hour and a musical night on the first day at Golfers Green and a walk and cycling on the second day at the Colombo Municipal Council grounds.
Now, a lot of times things don't happen because it's not known that there is an issue. And similarly, HIV is again a silent killer. So it is our job as a media organization and as a corporate body to bring out into the open the existence of the problem, remove the stigma attached to it. This is as bad a disease as any other, that's it. And unless we recognize there is a problem, there shall never be a solution. When it comes to HIV and AIDS, with everything I know about HIV and how it spreads, and having looked at several case studies, I believe that you can control the epidemic only up to a particular threshold. If you go beyond that, forget it, you will not control it. So therefore, we need to take the issue seriously enough today and do what it takes to control the epidemic before it gets out of hand.
Today we are honoured to partner Chevron Lubricant to raise awareness on AIDS, to prevent and to support the end HIV/AIDS in our country and make our commitment as a nation to fight against HIV/AIDS. Let us spread the word. Let us create a safe world to our future generation.
In the words of Abraham Lincoln, it's not the years in your life that count. What counts is a life in the years ahead. Let us all make life meaningful, not just for us, but to everyone around us. Together, I'm sure we can.
2 individuals died in a shooting that took place on the Pinwatta Patana Road in Hikkadua today.
The police media unit said that the shooting took place at around 3:40 this evening. The bodies of the 2 victims are currently lying at the Arachikanda hospital. The deceased victims are 28 years of age and are residents of the Patana area. The Hikkadua police are conducting investigations into the shooting.
Heavy showers wreaked havoc in Chennai during the past week, affecting day-to-day lives and stranding many individuals. The Met Department here in Colombo says that heavy showers accompanied with lightning will be expected throughout the day tomorrow. Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development, Madhava Vaidyaratna, commented on the flood situation here in Colombo and the reasons for it.
There are several reasons for water to remain in the cities. One is that certain improper constructions have taken place with the recent development processes, casting aside any consideration for the drainage water system. There is no proper drainage system for the flood waters to go. In addition to that, water retainment areas have been destroyed with the construction of many buildings on marshal lands. This situation could be largely attributed to the recent extreme weather conditions experienced in Chennai.
Well, that's a wrap of your primetime news. Thank you for joining us. For the News First team, I am Nicola D'Zoiza.
And I'm Shen Silva. Take care and good night.